the opposition reply, and I am going to invite the government reply speaker to conclude the
The grand finals, where Kijong Oppa will be forever remembered as the guy who watches porn 24/7. Grand finals, thank God, both teams were able to engage on an issue quite severely. You said so. What has this debate evolved to? Basically identifying a problem in the status quo and then providing you the mechanisms of how the government can deal with it. Now, the problem was quite simple. People are simply addicted for various reasons both sides agree upon. It's quite serious in that there's detriments to other people as well, as babies dying, innocent babies dying due to their parents' negligence, about innocent civilians being dead because of these young teenagers who were excited by online games. Both sides acknowledge this. Both sides differed on how we tackle the problem. The opposition would have you believe that the status quo, counseling, will somehow solve the problem of addiction. Number one, we don't think counseling is bad. We think counseling probably works, but it's already being done. And number two, what we want to do is go further. Rather than taking care of the already addicted, we want to take care of the potential addicts by restricting access once you have reached a certain time quota. Clearly from the very beginning, from my own speech, which you probably forgot by now, we've told you how time equals addiction. The longer you play, the addicted you get. And that is why a time quota which restricts your access is effective in this case. Now the opposition, with their very knowledge on games like Yobi, Jogi, or something like that, tell us that we're also promoting the status quo. But the very fact is, we're making it compulsory for all these sites that they access to, for all the sites that exist out there. That simply put, it is a strong method, a strong policy by the government which is effective on a very cheap cost, just to stop people from accessing it. Furthermore, their plan, again, falls under the assumption that all addicts will be somehow rejuvenated, like, I'm an addict, let's go, I'm a game addict and my name is Haiwan, welcome, things like that. But the fact is, addicts don't really admit the fact that they're addicts, and furthermore, for their mechanism to work, addicts need to get their butt into the facility in the first place, and by the way, even if you're in the facility, you still have access to these games. So again, the status quo, that was the mechanism of the opposition. On the other hand, the government has been providing you with how a government should and is able to intervene when there is a public harm. Not only is there a health harm and that people are getting heart attacks through dehydration and fatigue, but there's also a mental disease or mental decapability, in that people confuse the reality with the future. That people do horrendous things because of prolonged access to games and alternate society sites. So ultimately what we're saying is, time equals addiction, as all three speakers have provided to you, that indeed stopping this access is what's effective and what should be promoted by the government side. So at the end of the day, you have the SNUDA world, where addicts like where addicts like To Princess Diary, like our dear whip speaker over there, addicts like Chonghyun who likes shooting guns online, things like that. We have in the SNUDA world, we don't care. We're only going to take care of them when they become addicts. We're only going to deal with these population. But what the government wants to do in the KU world, wants to deal with the potential victims as well. We want to stop our pretty 일본들 from having prolonged access. We want to protect them so they don't become like Kijong Oppa. Or they don't become like these addicts who like watching pornography because he can have access for some reason. So ultimately, the government said that there is a necessity for intervention. There is a mechanism. Let's stop access. Let's make it compulsory. Let's have a time quota. And let's prevent not only the potential ones, but the ones who are heavily damaged as is. So ultimately, what you need to ask yourself is, does government have place in taking care of a social harm conducted by a certain industry? We say on the government, absolutely. We came here 5-0 as the first seed and we're leaving as champions, KU2.
Woohoo.